At Your End Step is brought to you by Comic Town and BCW Supplies. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hi.
And Dave.
Hello.
It's still in this conceit, huh?
And Dave's been replaced by a robot. It's a wacky episode 90, everybody.
190.
190.
190.
Robo Dave can count, which is good. That's
very good.
I think he's best at, actually.
He's just a really souped up T183. Or TI-83.
Yeah, there you go. I was like, I don't know.
T1000?
We have another fun-filled episode for you folks this week. Of course, we had the Cincinnati Open, which is going to be our big topic of discussion in the competitive section of the show, and then sort of a big sort of shift in the in-store support that WotC is doing in our community section, and those are going to be our two big topics we're going to be talking about. So let's just jump right in. So, on Sunday,
it was for the splash sound effect.
Oh,
good.
You're gonna have to, you add that in post-production, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh.
So on Sunday, WotC released an article kind of basically saying some things they're going to be doing, or changing, I should say, with their in-store play support. The real, the main takeaway from this was that F&M promos are now going to be double-sided tokens instead of actual cards. I mean, they are cards. They're printed on cardboard, but, they aren't going to be your fatal pushes, your reverse engineers that I know you guys are so desperately clamoring for.
Yeah, your news constrictors, I don't know, whatever other crappy promo they've had.
All of them.
Yeah.
They're just bad.
Rise from the Tides.
Yeah, that was one.
Yeah, it's true. The promos that are offered going forward starting in October with the release of Ixalan will be based on a season and not necessarily a month, which I think like that's probably a pretty good change. Especially going with tokens, because like the tokens you're going to be giving out are going to be tied to the set, which they've also stated. So they'll be tied to the set, and they'll be the same tokens you get as long as the current set is out, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, that part of it makes sense. So basically, from when Ixalan is released until when Rivals of Ixalan is released, you'll have the same set of tokens being given out. So I guess that it could get old. I guess maybe, but we'll see.
It all could get old. Now, I do want to point out that, so I was trying to look this up before, F&M's been around since 2000, so the way they set up this article with all these changes, it definitely sounds like WotC talking to a soon-to-be 18-year-old F&M, like, now, you've got a lot of options available to you, but we're going to restructure some things. You need responsibility as you go out into the real world. So I'm pretty excited about the token change. I think that F&M promos are trash almost all of the time, and everyone's going to be like, but we get Fatal Push. And remember that time 2 years ago that we got like Path to Exile and Serum Visions? I do. And then I remember, I actually have the list here, Dave. So we got Path to Exile and Serum Visions, then we got Order of Ojutai.
Never saw any play.
Cool. Ultimate Price? Okay. Roast and Anticipate. We have 3 in a row that were at least playable cards. And then Nissa's Pilgrimage, Clash of Wills, Smash the Smithereens, Blighted Fen, Goblin War Chief. Remember we got that one for some
randomly.
reason?
Yeah.
Sylvan Scrying, Spatial Contortion, Crumbling Vestige, Flaying Tendrils, Rise from the Tides, Fiery Temper, Call the Bloodline, News Constrictor, Fortune's Favor, Incendiary Flow, Servo Exhibition, and then we got like Unlicensed Integration in the Aether Hub, Reverse Engineer, Renegade Rallier, and then finally Fatal Push. How many of those there out of that do you think are worth more than like $1 right now? But remember, we're losing all that sweet value.
Hey, never forget that magma spray. That's a Kothwatch 2017 sighting. We have to keep updating until he's found.
When was Magma Spray?
I don't know.
Well, it was somewhere in there. Yeah.
No, Magma Spray was in 2014.
Okay, Cothwatch 2014.
Yeah.
That was the Cothwatch site.
And that was after Tormented Hero, Encroaching Wastes, slightly before Brain Maggot and Fanatic of Xenagos. So,
Yeah. Anyway, no, I get your point. Like, I've seen, from what I've seen, like, a majority of the community is all up in arms about this change. And I think maybe you and I are just the minority on this. Like, I don't mind it. I don't like playing a lot of FNMs anyway, so it doesn't really affect me. And, like,
here's the thing. Go ahead. But
I'll say, like, there may be, like, a random promo that I might go out of my way to get. Like, the Fatal Push is pretty cool. I might try to, like, win one of those. But if I'm going to FNM, it's more like, hey, I have an opportunity to play an FNM, I guess I'll go. You know.
So, and to your point there, and to the point in general, they had it in this article, and then they had an update, I think it was today, on their daily Magic rundown that went into more depth about this change. And I know Morgan's going to talk more about the different changes in general. Part of the reason behind this change is because they want to take FNM from something that's geared more towards, like, pseudo-competitive players to definitely more casual, which was its, like, roots. And then we'll be shifting into the Saturday events essentially are for those competitive games. But they said that essentially all of their data consistently points to the fact that even when people are like, oh yeah, when we have like Path to Exile, they can show numbers that essentially say that like more people at times go to events where you could get like Frostwalker than when you could get Path to Exile. Like people say the promos are like, oh, they're the draw, but historically they aren't. The numbers literally do not show that that's a draw at all. And I bet if, the individual may be outraged here, and maybe you have personally gone to an event only for that promo. But even when I've been excited about it, like Morgan and I were literally talking FNM this week, and halfway through the event we were like, oh man, what's the promo this week? And I'm like, oh man, maybe it's still Aether Hub, but it's probably like Reverse Engineer. And we looked it up and it was Reverse Engineer. And it was like, oh, would have been cool to get one of those hubs. We both knew that we would like to get one of those, but at the same time, didn't actually matter enough until we were like, oh, we're already here. I guess what could we get? Like that's literally what it was. So it was
now to be fair, like it wasn't that like I actually wanted to get them, but the standard format was bad, or like we were traveling, like it was just like it just didn't work out.
But if you wanted them enough, if they were the drive for the reason to go to FNM, you would have gone and like drafted, right?
No,
or played Modern.
No, I was traveling. I literally was not in state.
No, I'm obviously being facetious here.
Yeah.
Because yes, you can say you want one, but it was not important enough to change your schedule for. So it's not important.
I'm not doubting that there's some people out there that want to get all the promos and all that stuff, but the numbers, from what they're saying, the numbers didn't bear that out.
I just don't understand what the problem is with the foil token.
Yeah, I think it's sweet. I would actually prefer the foil token than a random
absolutely.
uncommon. I can't tell you how many random FNM promos I have that I just don't even care about.
No, I bulk them out.
Yeah.
The best argument I've seen for like against tokens in general are the sheer fact that you can get tokens from like a lot of different places in general. They may not be foil, but they are, something like RK Posts tokens, which I know a lot of people really enjoy, or the original the classical art tokens, which I really like. And you already had an avenue to get unique tokens if you truly wanted them. And there's not really a unique way to get alternate art Magic cards.
I get that to some extent, and I saw that same thing. And I think I saw with Evan Irwin was discussing that too. But I don't know if I totally agree with that. Like, yes, if you want to use different things for tokens, you can use whatever you want. But these are still the only ones that look like Magic cards that come directly from WotC. So like, if someone's reproducing those, they're doing something illegal. So I don't know if that's ultimately like for me, like someone who has like a battle box, and David knows someone who has like a cube, and like that's the reason I've ever cared about these promos in the first place. I'm cool to see something else that I could start sort of working on. I don't know. Most of the alternate art cards they've had have been like the easier it is to get the alternate art card, it seems like the trashier the art is, and that sounds mean because somebody worked really hard on that. But like, dear Lord, what was the Sphinx one? The Fate
Final Fortune.
Final Fortune is the one where that's not it.
Fortune's Favor.
Fortune's Favor. Because I was going to say Fate Foretold, but that's the enchantment. But like that one was just like playing a shell game with the Sphinx's hand. And I was like, why are we doing this? Like, it's I don't know. I get frustrated because the FNM promos feel unnecessary 99% of the time. I'm almost never excited to get one.
So the most frustrating thing, I think, for the article that was released on Sunday is something they said where it's like, the FNM promos really haven't, aligned properly with, what's been going on. And it's just like, who's in charge of that?
Okay, well, that's totally fair.
This is the Coast. It's your job. Like, I don't, like, you could say, like, oh, these haven't aligned properly. It's like, you did it. That's your fault then.
And I will agree that part of the argument saying, like, oh, the cards have been trash, it's because they choose to do trash cards.
Correct.
Right?
Like, how do you have future leagues? You have R&D testing. Like, you know what's going to be, like, good or standard playable. And if you're,
well, maybe they don't because
yeah, you got
I don't know if
there.
you've seen Standard last year.
You have me there.
But if I could throw this out here, like if I just you can go through here and choose. Everyone remembers things like cool promos, but like the first year they existed, you had things like Longbow Archer, Terror, Shock, Giant Growth, Staunch Defenders. Next you had Carnophage. Like some of these ones are okay. Swords of Plowshares, like Ophidian, I guess, was fine. Quirion Ranger. Like I'm going through here, and you can just like look at cards that literally weren't seeing play at the time, or have just been like entirely forgotten to time because they're just not good anymore. And like people, but the nostalgia part of that, I think people like keep in their mind. Like, yeah, but remember the time we got like Brainstorm and like it's like Path to Exile, we got those. And like, yeah, but most of the time they're actually just commons that are sometimes playable and sometimes they're just trash. Like it's always been the case. So
Now, I don't really remember this because this was kind of a while ago now, but I guess I should say I don't remember the outrage when they stopped this program. But do you guys remember the player rewards program when they used to like actually mail you cards?
Yeah, that was kind of sweet.
Yeah, you know what I got in the mail? Foil Wasteland. Yeah, they used to just send that out to people for free. They discontinued that. I don't remember people being as upset as they are about crappy FNM promos being.
To be fair, I have seen a lot of people like say like this is a continuation of that. So maybe,
sure,
but
it's not though because they're not completely taking it away. No. They're just changing it.
Here's the thing,
and they even left it open. They even said, we're just trying something new. They even left it open that hey, we could switch it back maybe.
Yeah, like it's not that hard. Here's the thing. At the end of the day. You really, I think if you're really upset about this, tell Watson you're upset about. Express it. Express why you're upset about it. But at the same time, like recognize that if you're like truly outraged, and I know that we as a community and Magic players, we like to complain. I complain a lot, but at the end of the day, you're complaining about getting one free thing versus another free thing at an event you were probably already going to attend. Because if you're saying the only reason you went to FNM was for the promo, then you need to find a better thing to do with your time in general, because you were not getting the value. You were spending 5 hours of your night on a Friday to get a $2 card, and that's not livable wages. I don't know what to tell you. I have to assume you probably had some fun, played with friends. That's why I go. Unless I'm like distinctly trying to like test something else out, I'm going because my wife wants to go, and I'm going to see my friends when I go up there, and I get to spend time at a place I enjoy being. And sometimes I get a promo and I go, oh cool, and I throw out my binder and then I bulk it out.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's necessarily a completely genuine statement. You also go because the place we go to has good prize payout.
Not for standard, they don't. Like right now we have win-a-boxes,
right.
But most of the time it's just a $5 entry. I'll play Modern if I want good prizes. This is true.
But you have that option within Comic-Con as well.
I think like we could probably segue that into like the discussion of like they want FNM to be like the casual,
sure,
but like some stores have a more competitive scene than other stores, and I think a lot of that has to do with what's the entry fee, what's the prize payout, like how much is the store giving back out in prizes, and what is that going to be? Because I mean I'd be more attracted to go to a store that's going to have like better price payout.
I agree with that, and I get what you're saying, Morgan. But like, if your store is only offering like you're paying them money and they're just giving out FNM promos as their only prize, I would stop being a patron of that store.
Right, and I don't think the store is like that. I don't think there are stores like that. I think
then you're getting some amount of packs or some amount of store credit for what you play. Even if it's not the best prizes in the world, it's probably comparable to your $5.
And if like there are places that have free FNMs, that probably that's the only payout is the card, but it's free. And it is the purpose is more to be casual.
Then the value is like you going and hanging out with your friends. If it's free, then like again, if it's free, then the promo card is literal icing on a already free piece of cake that you have been given.
Right.
And
so let's talk about the rest of the stuff that's going to be happening, and then we'll circle back and talk about it completely.
I'm mad now.
We'll have time at the end for emotional outbursts. So game day is going to be changing. It's going to be called the Store Championship, and it will happen near the end of a set's season rather than at the beginning. They will offer full art foil promos from the next set, which is pretty interesting. And I don't know if that's just going to be the same way that it is for right now, if it's just for like the top 8 for the full art foils.
Yeah. I would imagine it's similar to what they do now with like
probably
they have the full art, like uncommon that's not foil, and then the top 8 get the full art rare or whatever.
Potentially, yeah.
But this would be before the set's even released, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you'll kind of get access to these cards before anyone else if you win them.
You may run into some awkward situations where people have to be reminded, no, these aren't legal yet. So you can't play these.
And then there will be Store Championship playmats as well as deck boxes. And then it's going to start with Ixalan. And the date's a little bit weird. At least for us here in the States, and for anywhere that actually celebrates New Year's.
Anybody that has a calendar
day, New Year's Eve, it's going to be December 30th and the 31st. So cool.
So you have the hungover championships on Sunday is what you have.
Well, I mean, 30th, 31st. Technically, the first would be the hungover.
I guess that's true. So,
like, it is awkward because these times, like, those dates are typically like. At least the 31st is typically something where you probably are spending time with family, but it is later in the evening, maybe, so maybe they get lucky. And, like, the 30th is fairly fine, I think, unless you're going out of town, which a lot of people do. So that's awkward. But this is, like, one of the only times where hopefully that'll be the case, unless they're just going to schedule them all on holidays.
So I think this is a nifty idea. Like the Store Championship, like, and obviously, like the concept here is in the standard showdown, sort of feeds you into this and gives you like. And again, the article today also did a little more explaining of this, of like essentially how they didn't feel like they had a system that got people ready for like PTQs. Essentially, now one could argue that like the GPTs were supposed to be that, so like they themselves removed that step to create a gap. Right, and a lot of the main complaint I've seen about the Standard Showdown and Store Championships thing is that the stores don't have the freedom to schedule them how they want. Like they have to be on Saturdays and Sundays, and going into these dates for the championships. But that may not be the days that those events have been historically like good for. You know what I mean? Like I look at a place like Comic Town when they don't have a major event on a weekend. They tried for a long time to fire like Saturday Standard. It doesn't happen. You know what I mean? And I think that's hard.
Maybe that's different though, because I remember like when I first started playing, I used to go to weekly Saturday tournaments. So
sure,
that could vary, depending on your area.
I mean, you could find a weekly Saturday tournament, but right. I think what I'm saying though is like for the store that has already said that. I'm sure you like. I know like around us, the Guard Tower is another store that has been running the Saturday showdowns, right? But what I'm saying is that like. If that works for the Guard Tower, then they should be able to do that. But if it doesn't work for Comic Town, then they shouldn't have to do that. But Wizards is saying, like, you have to do this. And Corbin Hosler wrote an interesting article for a TCG Player today where he was sort of discussing how you start infringing upon, like, the time equity of a player base. Like, you've asked them to, like, and, like, I think all three of us are in the demographic he's talking about, where you've essentially trained your player base around Fridays, right? You go to FNM on Friday, and then if you have a weekend event, like a bigger event, that's what your FNM is leading you into. But, like, now you're asking those players who want to have the same competitive level, like, now you're telling those players who have spent 15 years training themselves to play on Friday, you're telling them that's not really for you anymore. It's for casual players. You need to come on Saturday. And that's it's kind of annoying.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people might be in a similar situation to me where it's like, there's a lot of weekends where I don't play Magic, and like maybe the only time that I have is Friday night. You know, after work, whatever, I can get out for a couple hours and go play. But like I have plans to with the family during the weekend, so that's not going to happen. So Friday night might work best for me, but like.
And Saturday may not work best for you, and it may work best for others, which is fine.
Right.
But my only point of contention here is that the stores should be allowed to run them how they want them.
Yeah.
If they want it to be on a weeknight, they should let it be on a weeknight. And that's really my only gripe with it. I definitely, sitting here at 30, married, you sitting here, Dave, older than 30, with children, Morgan, nearing 30. That's the best I'll give you.
With fur babies.
But I'm saying, like,
very little responsibility comparatively speaking.
But like, still married and still has responsibilities. Like, I feel like this is the kind of conversation where I can be annoyed by this, but at the same time, like, recognize that I'm probably like aging out of the. We said I used to go to a lot of weekly Saturday tournaments too. Really hard to justify now.
Yeah,
it's just really hard to justify. Like, I could be doing
really hard to justify.
Oh, so what can you get out of this? A full art promo from the next set. Oh, you're not going, says wife. And I agree, I think. So I definitely will say that I can see the other side where, like, maybe I'm just, like, obviously no longer the target for this. And that hurts. I'm going to cry now.
And finally, finishing out this announcement, they talked a little bit more about, standard showdowns. Each standard showdown booster will now include a foil promo, Rebecca Gwayland. And these are the Commander lands from C16. They're very nice looking.
Yeah, I was saying it'd be really expensive for me to switch out all the foil lands in my cube because my cube is like fully foiled out.
Yeah.
But there's 40 of each basic, and even if these were only $1, which they're not going to be. No. More than likely.
But look at that planes, Dave.
I know.
Look at it.
To me.
I know.
They're all very beautiful.
I guess you better start making room for those Saturday tournaments, man.
So, probably not going to happen. But one last thing about the tokens. I mean, I can dream about having all foil tokens too, right? Like,
right? Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. It'll never happen. But
here's the thing:
like, it'll be on like your dying, on your deathbed. You'll finally get the last one and be like, yes, they finally printed the 2/2 bear.
Oh, man, what's Jordan gonna do? Is he?
Not play FNM.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, probably not.
And what I will say too is, like, criticize Wansi when you can criticize them. Criticize them because they are the ones who printed bad promos. Got it. Criticize them because, yes, they said that their timeline didn't work out and they created the timeline. Yeah, criticize them for that. However, if they show you data, and they're not giving you the hard number, I'm sorry. But, like, if they tell you, like, our data shows this, and again, we've talked before, maybe that's Planeswalker Points data, whatever it is, but our data and our stores tell us that, like, hey, people aren't coming out more for these promos versus these promos. And if you look historically, when they've made foil tokens, go look at the price of that foil Angel and Demon Flip token from the Avacyn pre-release. Like, that thing's ridiculous.
Yeah, but they're ultra rare.
But the Flip Zombie tokens are not that ultra rare, and those are pretty sought after too. The ones that were just from the most recent Innistrad pre-release.
Correct, but I mean, like, I don't necessarily like the argument of comparing to like past previous ones because they have been limited time.
But
even the pre-release ones were going to be a lot more limited than the FNM ones.
Sure, but like if you looked at compared to any other promo, right? If you could look, any other promo is also like a stamped foil rare of anything in a pre-release is much more rare than a non-stamped foil rare from that set, just based on printing. And yet it takes a long time for those prices to come divergent. All I'm telling you is that those things were desired. Like, all I'm suggesting is those foil tokens were strongly desired, are still strongly desired.
And even compared to like pre-release promos, you can still pull like a foil from a pack or something like that if you desire foils. But
right.
The reason those, you could only get them from one specific thing for those tokens. With FNM, especially them switching the seasons, you will have a lot more opportunities to get these double-sided tokens if you want them. And so I wouldn't expect like prices to be any more.
No. I'm not arguing price. I'm not suggesting price. I know I said look at the price of the Avs ones. I apologize because I think I buried the lead when I said that. What I mean is they are desirable.
Sure.
Like people suggest like, I don't want these, and if you don't, give them to me because I do.
Well, you will want a certain amount of them, and depending on what they are,
give them all to me. I'll find uses.
They'll be based on the set.
Like, I will find uses for them. Man, I'm really sad that we're getting them for only new sets because foil clue tokens would be unreal. So, but I just think, like, I would really say, like, think to yourself, like, what you're actually outraged about if you're really upset about these promos. Get mad at Wizards for the right thing, not for just the sheer fact that the free thing you're getting has changed.
I can see people being upset in that they think that this is something being taken away from them, but it's not. I don't think their anger is justified. I'm just saying I can understand why people feel that way. I think that this is a change that doesn't really. I don't know. It doesn't really do anything. Like your F&M environments, guess what? It's not going to change. Like unless your store changes their payout or what have you. Same people are going to be there. If you have a hyper competitive F&M, you're still going to have a hyper competitive F&M.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know why this is changing. It doesn't seem like it's actually any fiscally cheaper for WotC, other than they can now print a bunch of the same cards for a season and not necessarily have to switch, printing cards for a month. So maybe there is cost savings in that. But now you have to print on both sides, so I don't know.
Double the art,
right? I don't necessarily get it. You could theoretically have an F&M promo that was for a season, and maybe that like drives down the cost too much of a card. I don't get it. I'm not upset by it, but I also think it's a dumb change, and I don't really think it's very relevant to anything actually pertaining to like trying to shift the F&M experience.
Yeah, I think like their idea of like the tokens, right? Somehow tell us that it's more casual. It certainly doesn't do that.
No, the reason people are going to F&M is not because of the F&M promo, which is what they've already established through their numbers.
Right.
The reason people go to F&M and are competitive is because your store has good price payout, or has good players.
Right,
and it's good, actually good. So
no, I certainly agree with you on that. This I'm not upset with the change because I think I'm excited to see something new and cool. But at the same time, in no way does this somehow illustrate like how I'm supposed to feel about F&M. Like, well, now it's a token and not a card, so like you should care less. Is that really what I'm being told? Like I should care?
Yeah. No, they're just tokens. Don't worry about it. Like it's whatever.
Yeah, okay. I think we also didn't care about the garbage card.
Right.
And in all honesty, if they had just like gotten rid of like F&M promos, like would have been fine.
Yeah.
Would have actually just been a more justifiable change, because it'd been like, this doesn't drive attendance, it costs us money, and we're going to put that money back into the game somehow, so we've cut this.
If I could offer one other suggestion, just in general, I'm going to throw it out to you guys, see what you think. Now, I'm going to mention that store, the Guard Tower, again, which is another local store around us who runs that. And they run, so the way the standard Showdown packs go is like you get one for like, at least it was originally, I think you got one for playing. And then they had others that could give out for prizes, if I remember correctly.
I think that's how it is, yeah.
And then they had a card, like a full art card, like or an oversized card that they put into to give out. And they were giving people, essentially tracking points for people who attended these events and how well they did in those events. And then your points, so you talked about the rewards program, right? Mm-hmm. They talk about like wanting to get people to embrace the store, and they're doing this as a standard Showdown because they're going to have the championship, the store championship. Why not mix the promo with the reward program and bring it back for F&M? Like when you go to F&M, like here's a kit for the store. The kit comes with these promos. Like it has X number of like fairly expensive one. Like think like your Wasteland you used to get, and those are oodles of points. You know what I mean? And you get points for going so many weeks in a row, points for doing well at F&M and everything, and you can cash those in at the end of a season for what you want. So the really casual person who's like just going intermittently and like does kind of okay, they can still get something cool, right? And for that person who is like hardcore about it and like wants to get the good card, they can probably do that too. And I think that would solve a lot of issues. They wouldn't have to print as many of them, but I don't know.
I like that idea. I think that sounds great, but it's incongruous to what they actually want F&M to be.
I know it is.
Because like
having a grind for like a good card is exactly the opposite.
I think that would.
And like they do not want F&M to be rewarding to the grinder, to the non-casual player, to the competitive player.
Did you not learn anything from Planeswalker Point invites?
Yeah,
where people are just like,
I don't think that's really that.
I gotta play Magic all the time.
I mean, I don't know what's so terrible about that, though. That's actually what they want forever.
Yeah, but then, like, a lot of people were just like, yeah, I just got burnt out, like...
Yeah, well, that's fine.
I used to get to strike that balance. Like, you want people to play, but not too much to that they don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, I mean, everybody goes through. Never mind. I was making a joke that I think we're going to be sad about. So, no, I'm going for it. Everyone went through puberty, so
It's true.
sometimes you get burnt out.
Are you saying Morgan hasn't?
No, I'm just saying, like, sometimes you get burnt out from doing the activity too much.
Oh.
But eventually you'll find a balance.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yep. It's true. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, what's the big deal? I think instead of trying to fix M&Ms, they'll fix
Don't fix
M&Ms.
M&Ms.
No, yeah,
They're
those
great.
are perfect.
They're
Yeah.
great.
Please don't. No.
Except for the pretzel ones. Get rid of those. Those are
Stop it.
those
No,
are an
stop.
abomination.
No, because they're going to buy it now. Surprise move. This is the coast, a subsidiary of Hasbro, has bought M&Ms from
Bought
Mars.
Yeah.
No, they didn't buy Mars. They just bought the M&M
Oh,
brand.
okay.
And now they're releasing token M&Ms.
They're double-sided.
They're double-sided. The M's on both sides. Trash.
Give me back my Reese's Pieces. Why'd you take those away?
So, like, I don't understand why they didn't potentially consider making, like, the Saturday Showdown the casual, like, the place, like, the bridge, instead of forcing the enfranchised players to be the ones that should be playing on Saturday. Because doesn't that make sense? If you're saying that, the F&M experience isn't facilitating that jump, then why not give the casual people a tournament they can attend to aside from F&M? And
That's actually supposed to be leagues. That's what leagues are for. It's supposed to be for the person who's casual. I think the concept of like how these things are tied together, but doesn't actually work in any fashion. Stop messing with F&M. Let the players who go to F&M go to F&M. Unless you're having a severe problem with like F&M attendance, which I got to tell you, none of this fixes. But I don't think that's true. Like I watched what F&M attendance does now that we have what looks to be a fairly good standard format, right? Because that'll cure what ails you. You know what I mean?
yeah, so like I think a lot of these changes are coming from up top and go on the way down when they had the downswing, and now they have hopefully recovered with standard, and it will be a healthy format. And none of these changes actually make any sense anymore because your attendance is driven by how good your product is that you're making.
I would suggest that they just like they leave things as they are, and again bring back GPTs. Don't make them GPTs for specific events. Make them just generic GPTs where you can win 2 buys that you can use at the next GP that you attend. But like they required competitive. Make them competitive again.
Yeah.
Move away from the regular REL. Go to competitive again. Require deck lists, and then that way you can differentiate between your standard showdown and then something that's actually pushing you. Because the standard showdown's not pushing into PPTQs. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's not. The store that I've mentioned that keeps running those, that store is not pushing hyper competitive most weeks. They're just having a good time, which is what they are supposed to do. So I don't know. I've got nothing.
Yeah, it's weird, and a lot of people were upset about it, and I don't know how many were upset for the actual right reasons.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like I think like the value you think you're losing is not there.
Yeah, who cares about value?
So and I think for WotC, this is sort of the tail wagging the dog, and like that's what happens sometimes when you have a corporate overlord.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it for our community segment. Before we jump into competitive, do want to give a shout out to Comic Town. We saw their new digs yesterday, and it's huge. The store is huge. Yeah, it's massive. So if you're coming in town this weekend for the Comic Town Classic series, the Summer Classic, it's going to be a modern event. You are going to be very, very surprised at how much more room they have for the tournament itself. Their new address is 94 Dealmont Drive in Columbus, in case you're wondering. And again, they are having their big Classic Summer Championship, part of the championship series, I should say, this weekend on the 22nd. That is a Saturday, I believe.
Yes.
All right, cool. I know my dates. And it's going to be modern, with a 2K prize support paid down to, I believe, top 16 or top 32. I think it's top 16.
See.
I believe it's top 16.
And if it's top 32, then it's just all upside for you now, isn't it? But I believe it's top 16.
Yeah, the 17th through 30 or 17th through 32nd pay out an extra points for the series.
Yes, so you can qualify for the end of the year tournament. And it's going to be a 4x Planeswalker point multiplier on the tournament, which is pretty awesome as well. And it's 30 points to enter. And 12 p.m. are pairing, so 11 p.m. is registration.
30 American points to enter?
30 American dollars.
American dollar points.
American dollar points. Good old George Washington.
Yeah, I will be there.
Washington.
We can't sing the rest of that song, but it's great.
I will be there attempting to defend the belt since I took down the Spring Championship, which was standard. Trying to run it back in this modern one.
won't be there. I have to be at a wedding, and I'm actually getting worried about qualifying for this one because I've gotten to play in exactly 2 events now, the team one and a standard one, and like nothing else. So I'm gonna have to like Rocky train for the fall one. Be careful if you go more than 30 seconds.
It's bad. I can't. It was very screen accurate. I understand. I will hopefully be there. I'm not sure what I'm playing yet though. And then if you if Modern's not really your bag, Sunday there will be a standard Star City Games IQ, and this event will be 1K in prizes, and you can earn your invitation to the next Roanoke Invitational that we sung the praises of a few weeks ago. So if our dissuading didn't change your mind, you can still queue for that invitational. The invitational, if you queue for it, it's still worth going to, regardless of where it's at. And that's a $30 entry as well. And again, 12 p.m. pairings, 11 a.m. registration. Don't go there at 11 p.m. You'll be late.
Yeah, and we'll talk about standard here in a minute. But yeah, standard does look pretty sweet right now.
I agree.
So it's good to see.
Yeah, it's good to see, and I think focusing on the store for a little bit, just like it was definitely in transition last night because they were definitely still moving things, but we had a huge Modern event last night.
Was it 42 people?
46.
46 people. So we had 46 people there. We had people there playing HeroClix, and like they were actively had the moving company still moving things in and setting things up, and did not get anywhere close to us. Like not all of the tables have moved in yet. Like we had a whole tournament that would have taken up a large amount of space at actual the previous location, and they were just like, yeah, they're still doing all their stuff around it. So it is kind of crazy. Plus now like they have an additional bathroom and like a drinking fountain to fill up water bottles, which is great. I'm loving all of this.
No, it's definitely a big change and a good one. So we're very, very happy that they're in their new digs, the new place, and I can't wait to go back. So I don't know if I'm going to go to F&M or not.
I don't think I can, unfortunately.
No, I don't think you can either.
Sad. That hurts.
But I kind of want to because Winnabox, but like for the tournament's Modern, so I just play Modern. It's very
very confusing.
I'm very conflicted inside. But let's talk about standard. Let's talk about the Ohio tournament over last weekend that we didn't go to because reasons.
Because we're bad people.
No. I don't think we're bad
because
people.
I love my wife.
Bad people seems like a
strong.
I don't want to like put all that.
I will say this. I did watch a decent amount of coverage at home.
Yeah.
And I know the format's good because I found myself being like, man, I really wish I was playing in this tournament. Like, Standard was a lot of fun to watch, and I think, just as an overview, I think you saw a lot of the usual suspects, a lot of decks that you would expect to see, but there was a little bit of spice as well. So I think we'll get into some of the decks there, but it was sweet. So.
Nice.
It most certainly was. It was won by Michael Hamilton, playing 4-color control. And then we have a little bit of a tidbit about another person that top 8, correct? Jonathan Rossum?
Jonathan Rossum, yeah, he lost in the finals, and that was actually his first loss in the whole weekend.
That's crazy.
Now he didn't just straight XO the Swiss because he scooped to his teammate, Zan Saeed. So but his first real loss was in the finals, which is unfortunate for him because he pretty much dominated. But
from what I understand, he also beat Michael Hamilton in the Swiss as well.
yeah, they played. They were, I believe, the last two undefeateds on day one, so they played in the last round, and Jonathan Rossum was able to win that one.
Yeah.
And then Michael Hamilton kind of got his revenge in the finals. But so that was a cool little it was a cool little storyline,
little observation
there.
yeah, for sure. I mean, good news. There's 7 different archetypes in the top 8, which is awesome. And we can kind of take a look at some of these decks. We have Jonathan Russ was playing Blue White Monument, and there is another Blue White Monument deck piloted by Ben Weinberg. In third place, there's 4-color Emerge, piloted by Zan Syed. We have Black Green Energy, piloted by Stephen Dickman. Mono Red Aggro, which brings
Morgan's baby,
brings a smile to my face. I have a funny story about Mono Red Aggro. It was the round 1 feature match, and I saw that it won, and I started putting things in my TCG player cart. And then it was on again round 5 or 6. And it was playing against Todd Stevens in a 5-color Planeswalker deck, but it's really just Teamer Energy Splash Planeswalkers, but whatever. And he beat the pants off of that, and then I bought all the cards that were in my cart. I am still missing 2 Chandras, which is kind of painful. But
I have 2.
I can figure out where to get some. But yeah, I'm very happy that this deck did well in the tournament. And I guess I gotta shut my mouth or eat my crow. I don't know if the strategy will be viable. As potent as it looked over the weekend going forward. But it's there.
Well, it's made Moto suck.
I'm so very sorry.
That's all I have to say. I was like, I'm done with this now. It's not fun.
We had a notable Sliversman, Adam Bowman, playing Mono Black Zombies.
With
apparently he likes tribal decks.
Yeah. Makes sense. He had Voldaren Pariahs in the sideboard, which I approve.
That's
Card
not
sweet.
It's not a zombie.
No, but
it's okay. I played it as a zombie deck. Fine.
It likes to eat zombies and then make your opponent very sad. And then rounding out the top 8, it was Teamer Energy, piloted by Jason Morgan.
Yeah, I think even if you go outside of the top 8 and just look at more decks, you had Teamer Control in 9th, Esper Aggro in 10th.
Yeah,
Mardu Vehicles, our first Mardu Vehicle lists are 11th and 12th. Daniel Dwan and Dylan Donegan there. Then even rounding up the top 16, you have things like Red Green Pummeler, Grixis Control, and Blue Red Control. So I mean, that's how many decks did we just is that 12 decks or something?
19th place Mono Red Eldrazi, 20th place Bandit Spirits, 22nd place Green White Tokens.
Yeah. This was, well, I thought it was an odd tournament for a week 1 standard because kind of the old adage is play aggro in week 1. I feel like this format was already pretty well established, though. Nothing was going to change too much with the new set. But it was a little surprising to see Michael Hamilton take it down with a 4-color control deck, given that control historically on week 1s has not been the best choice.
Yeah.
But obviously,
also a
it worked out
4-color
pretty
control deck not playing Hour of Devastation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think actually more shocking to me.
Right.
Because the control decks that were playing Hour of Devastation were shut out of the top 8. Now, the card did well and was doing work, but instead, I kind of want to look at his list here for a second, if that's cool, since we're...
Yeah, let's get into the list.
Instead of playing Hour of Devastation, which has this kicker where it kills Planeswalkers, he decided to play Planeswalkers, including Dovin Bond.
Bond.
And Dovin Bond was doing work all of a sudden. More work than it had any business doing. Good job, Dovin Bond.
You did it.
I still think the ultimate is just trash, though.
Oh no,
it doesn't really do anything.
So so as soon as you said that they were the last undefeateds, that was the match we were watching at your house on Saturday.
Yeah,
and I remember that he definitely could have his opponent was just ignoring Dovin Bond ticking up, because it was it was against the Monument player who had all these lands untapped, and it was yeah, I just don't care. So eventually he started ticking it down just to get cards out of it because the ultimate is worthless.
I think in most scenarios, if you get it up to the point where it could ultimate, you're probably just better off just drawing more cards and gaining more life.
Sure.
But
so what you do is you play Dovin Bond with that card in Hour of Devastation that makes your opponent's creatures attack, and then you ultimate, and they can only untap 2 of them.
Yeah.
Did I do it? No? Okay, I didn't do it. But either way, like, Dovamod did do a lot of work.
Yeah.
This is an interesting list, though. A lot of one-ofs.
Yeah, like more on the list. If you haven't seen the list yet, it's basically a Jeskai control deck splashing Nicol Bolas.
Right.
One of Nicol Bolas. I think that's the only black card, right?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, it's the only black card. So it's running real thin on win conditions, at least in game one. He's running 2 creatures. He has 1 Torrential Gear Hulk and 1 Linvala the Preserver. And then you have the 2 Dovin Bonds, 1 Jace, Unraveler of Secrets, 1 Nahiri, 1 Nicol Bolas. And then it's just 27 lands, 26 spells. You have your energy sub-package of Glimmer of Genius. You have a couple Harness Lightnings in there. A lot of 1s and 2-ofs, like you said, Mike. He did have a pretty interesting board plan where he had 3 Glory Bringers and 3 Spell Crawlers that he could bring in. So the matches, at least that I saw with it, like really long game 1s because he has very few ways to actually win. But the game 2 and 3, he could sideboard into a little bit more of a proactive plan there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting. He, from what I could tell, he played it really well, and deserved to take it down.
I think this was the deck that I think best showed off what Supreme Will can do.
Oh yeah,
like the diversity of like being able, well, obviously counter spells, but then like when you need to look for one-ofs, like Supreme Will does not a terrible job looking for one-ofs or finding a draw spell to get you to more looks. So it was pretty powerful.
Yeah, if you want to talk about just the new cards, he had three Supreme Wills, 2 Abrade, the 1 Nicol Bolas, like we mentioned, and
Chandra's Defeat.
Yeah, Jace's defeat is Chandra's defeat. Yeah, a lot of the lists, you could tell like it was week 1 because the lists weren't really streamlined for the most part, and you saw a lot of these lists have like 1 Chandra's defeat, 1 Jace's defeat. Like people don't really know what to expect, so it's like you're kind of hedging. You're like, okay, I'll run 1 of each instead of 2 or 2 and 0, one way or the other. But yeah, it was pretty cool. The finals was really interesting. Like game 1 took like 45 minutes. It was like really long, and it involved, Hamilton had to draw his Nicol Bolas, which was like one of the last like 7 or 8 cards in his deck. So Nicol Bolas actually won him the game.
Yeah.
And then like game 2 was like if you got up to like to get a bathroom break or something, you probably missed game 2 because it took like 3 minutes. It was like it was. Rossum just ran him over. I think Hamilton cast like 1 spell that got spell colored, and that was it. So,
jeez.
But yeah, game 3 was pretty epic, and yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, the Monument deck looks like it's pretty consistently what we've seen so far. I don't see anything new. I do say Angel of Sanctions. They're running that card a lot in the sideboard?
Yeah, usually a 2 of.
Okay.
And there is a Nibble Obstructionist.
Nibble Obstructionist is the card.
Is the new thing showing up.
Yeah, I think this is the list that we all kind of thought would be the quote-unquote best deck going into this tournament. And it's obviously still very good. Though I think it was the most played on day 2.
It was, yeah, the metagame breakdown.
I would imagine it was probably the most played deck going into the tournament overall, but we don't have access to that data.
Yeah, it just fits a play style that I think people really like the blue-white flash deck that has a little bit of staying power and also can go wide.
Yeah, and it's still a relatively new deck. I mean, we really only saw it break out at the Invitational, which was only a couple weeks ago. So I know that Jadine Comparens and Emma Handy had played... they were playing what's the angel that makes servos or
Angel of Invention.
Yeah, they were playing that main deck over like the Cloud Blazer.
Yeah,
slot,
see, Jadine finished in 17th, and she had 3 Angel of Invention.
Yeah, so that was a cool innovation. I don't really know how that worked out over Cloud Blazer. I don't.
Ooh man, Jadine had a sweet. Looks like, man, this card looks kind of sweet. Maybe in the mirror. Because they're playing Angel of Invention, so that means they're not playing Dusk Dawn in the main.
They did not play Dusk Dawn?
They did not, but definitely has an invasive surgery in the sideboard.
Oh yeah, that's for our Devastation, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, fair enough. It seems pretty good against Dusk Dawn, though, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
And these lists were also running the... well, I guess Rossum was not playing it, but I know Jadine was playing the White Desert That gives all your creatures +1/+1. That seems also pretty good in the mirror match. So
Chef Dunes.
yeah.
Nice.
And I think, like, just in general, I think those deserts saw a
They put
wide
on a
amount
bit of a
play.
show. They really did.
Yeah, especially the red one. That one was unreal. And Jonathan,
apparently.
Jonathan Job's
The
deck.
conversation that I think it was the round with Jonathan Job's deck. But essentially it was like, it's like, oh well, doesn't he have to activate that as sorcery? And it's like, oh no, like all the other ones require a sorcery, but not the red one. And they're like, isn't that the ability you'd want to require as a sorcery? No, all right, well the red one's just the best one.
Well, all the other ones could be like combat tricks, you know. The red one just goes to the face. So
Sure, but like
okay.
it's real good though.
Yeah. I mean, I still think it would be good. Even if it was
I have
sorcery
killed
speed.
enough opponents with Barbarian Ring in my time to know that it's really good.
It's better than Barbarian Ring.
I'm challenge.
It doesn't deal you damage.
It certainly can deal you damage.
Yeah, but
and it also
doesn't
costs
have
1 mana to do 2 damage, not 4.
but this one you can reuse if you have other deserts.
Yes, Barbarian Ring still sees play in Legacy. I don't know if this one will.
Does it?
It does.
So do we
Deal
want
with it.
do you want to talk about the mono red deck?
Do you want to talk about the mono red deck?
Very much so.
Okay.
This is definitely a very, very aggressive deck. You know, we see 28 creatures. Nearly half the deck is creatures, and we have kind of your usual suspects, what you would expect to see. You know, we have Falkowrath Gorger as one of your 1-drops, and maybe your only and Soulscar Mage being the other one, which is kind of out there.
There's some interesting plays with that card.
Oh yeah,
we can get into.
we could definitely discuss that. But we have Earthshaker Kenro showing up, and that card looked surprisingly good.
Told you.
Looks surprisingly good, and this deck plays a little bit of a higher land count. It plays 24 lands, so like being able to eternalize it is fairly realistic, depending on where the game is going. We see Hazoret showing up. We see Glorybringer showing up to be some of that top end. We have Eldrazi Obligator that could be somewhat of another 5-drop. We also have Akari Zev as being a 2-of that is just kind of there. I don't know about that card.
It was fairly impressive, actually. But it wasn't that bad.
It feels like it might be kind of a card that let exist on the battlefield because you don't necessarily want to put a spell into it. Maybe.
It is. I mean, it has menace, so it's a little hard to just get off the board by blocking.
Yeah, exactly. And then there are some other cards in here that I like a whole bunch. Them being Thought Knot Seer and Reality Smasher. So, the mana base that was built for this deck, obviously has deserts, has the Ramanop Ruins, also has Sunscorched Desert.
Yeah, remember that one?
Remember that one?
Yeah.
All right, so we could play with Eldrazi, and the 1 damage might be relevant. We were close.
And Dunes of the Dead, which is the weird one. It's the one that if it goes to the graveyard, you get a 2/2 zombie.
I don't know about that one.
That one's again the weird one.
I'm guessing he just wanted another desert.
He probably wanted another desert, another colorless land, and that was just the one that was the least bad.
Interestingly enough, I've actually seen a couple different lands in that slot on Moto. Seagate Records is one I saw, but also the Exile one is the other one I saw.
Yeah.
The one that can exile graveyards.
Oh, Scavenger Grounds, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There's been some God Pharaoh's gift decks running around on Moto, so card might be relevant. I might be one of those decks. Getting punished real hard by these red decks, though.
And we also have Chandra Torture the Defiance showing up as being the Planeswalker du jour. And then for removal, we have 3 Magma Spray and 3 Incendiary Flow in the main. Obviously, Flow is very nice, being able to go to the face. But all these Exile, which I think they figured that out. Like, hey, there's some good things that are good to bring back, and we may not want that to be the thing that happens. So I think that was a pretty smart move by Job, and I think his friend or a couple of friends helped him.
George Michael.
That's not that Job.
It could be.
It's not God, man.
But he's a magician.
He is.
Sorry.
I mean, like, the sideboard's pretty great. Got Invigorated Rampage. Oh, man. Card's sweet.
The card's real sweet.
Got to push through some damage. And, like, he was able to play things like Sweltering Suns on the sideboard because he just goes a little bit bigger and can, avoid that being an issue. We still have a Braid showing up here on the side. Some more Eldrazi's when you bring in like the Glory Bringer, the Reality Smash, the Thought Out Seer. Like when you go a little bit more control-y, you have these sort of options. And Handward Garrison, I'm all about that card, man. Card's sweet.
Yeah. Not playing the land.
Not playing the land.
Which
Could,
that's
though,
another
but-
colorless land that you could play, and that desert slot there.
It could be.
It's not a desert, but
Yeah, it's not a desert, but does the job kind of.
yeah, it
does desert
It does
things.
stuff.
It does in fact do stuff depending on what you're trying to do. But I really like this deck. It was very, very impressive on camera, and I was very skeptical. After seeing it round one, it's like, well, I know Job is a name. He's definitely a grinder that's shown up before, so I know he wouldn't bring like trash to a tournament. But it was good to see him top 8 with this, and yeah, man, I want to play it. Seems like a good time.
It was a little surprising to see him in this tournament because he lives in Vegas.
Yeah,
so
he's
it's like,
he's a ways
that's a ways
away.
away.
But I think Cincinnati, he just he knows people in Cincy, and so these are the tournaments that he can go to pretty much.
Yeah, a lot of people call Cincinnati the Vegas of the East. So
It's
it
not
makes
even true. It's because of the riverboat. All the riverboat.
it's all the
gambling.
riverboat gambling. Oh man, do you want to talk about the 4-color merge deck?
Yeah.
Because I think so if the mono red deck was a payoff to me shouting at you guys, telling you that Earthshaker Kenra was going to be good, then this is the payoff for Dave saying I think Champion of Wits is definitely going to be in an emerge deck. So because there were some emerge decks that chose not to play it. I saw some people playing.
Those were wrong.
Well, there was a couple posts from like blue red emerge players flat out saying that they wish they had just played like more fevered visions as opposed to like Champion of Wits, because there were a lot of decks running like Magus Raids and stuff around, and like Champion forces you to play to the board before you go off, and you can get punished real hard for it. But this deck I think does a little bit more with it, I think, and has some really cool things like with Traverse, which is nifty. So I don't know where you want to start with this list.
Well, let's just say I always appreciate a list that is like knows what it wants to do. So unlike the red deck that we saw or even like the control deck, this has a lot of 4-ofs. So you just got 4 Champion of Wits, 4 Elder Deep Fiend, 4 Grim Flayer, 4 Haunted Dead, 4 Prized Amalgam, 1 Ishkana because you can tutor for that one. You don't really want more than one. Then you get 4 Vessel of Nascency, 3 Grapple with the Past, 4 Kozilek's Return, 4 Traverse the Open Wall, 2 Strategic Planning, and it runs 22 lands. Now, I will say, with it being a 4-color deck, the mana seemed a little bit awkward, but not horrendous. As in, you could potentially, Evolving Wilds out an island or a mountain, and then draw Grimflayer, and then you're like, oh, well, another turn off from casting that. But, yeah, I mean, this does a really good job of just dumping cards in the graveyard. There's a lot of cards that you want in the graveyard. Obviously, Prized Amalgam. You can actually cast it in this deck, though you don't really want to. Or, things like Kozilek's Return.
Well, here's the thing. I actually think you do kind of want to cast it sometimes. Like, Rise of Amalgam was a perfectly acceptable thing to play on turn 3 when you need to emerge the next turn.
Yeah, sure.
So,
but, I mean, if you're free is better than paying 3 mana.
absolutely.
Haunted Dead is probably something that you'd rather play from your graveyard than actually, pay 4 mana
Also
for
feels
it.
pretty good to pay it 4 mana for, though.
Yeah.
Love that card.
But yeah, I mean, this
Miss
is... if I had played in this tournament, I'm not going to say I would have played this deck, but I would have played something similar with Graveyard Synergies, because I think that, we do have some Graveyard Hosers now in the format, but it's week 1, and people really didn't know what to expect. Now, maybe something like this has more of a target on its back, because people, the list is out there, and people kind of know what's going on, but... I think this was a really good call for week one because this, I feel like a graveyard hate would have been at an all-time low.
Yeah, I think this deck, it really goes in some interesting directions. Like, most of the time when you see the blue-red emerge decks, you see a lot of, like, Sanctum of Ugins, which is how you chain your Elder Fiends together, but this deck isn't doing it that way. It's just going to use Traverse to try and chain them together, which is kind of interesting. And I wonder, like, how that sets your draws up a little bit differently. Like, because obviously, like, the one thing that the blue-red deck can get itself in trouble with is by sacrificing lands early in the game, then it can actually sort of shut itself out. And so this deck isn't worried about that as much. I do think that, like, all of its threats are pretty cheap outside of that. Like, so, like, Grimflayer is going to be a 4/4 pretty